So Xbox just had their extended show event, and I have to say, it was actually pretty decent. There was a lot of developers talking, there was a lot of people going on about the games and giving us more details into Starfield, Redfall, and a bunch of other things. But the one thing I have to talk about is what happened over at IGN with Bethesda's Todd Howard. You know, the big guy that makes all of these big, massive games like Starfield, Fallout, and of course, Elder Scrolls. Well, he just confirmed that there is going to be a Fallout 5 and also an Elder Scrolls 6. So let's go into everything that was being said because there are some new details on these brand new games, and of course, there's some more details on Starfield. So let's get into everything that was said because there's a lot of shocking news. Alright, so you know the drill. If you like the content, hit that subscribe button and that like button. And if you want to be notified on future content, hit that small little bell icon. And if you want to go that extra mile to support the channel, hit that join button. Alright, so I do have to admit that after seeing that Xbox showcase, I was a little underwhelmed with some of the games that were there. But most of them, Diablo 4, Starfield, Redfall, and all these other ones were great to see. And I do have to say that Bethesda really did hold their own when it comes to bringing first-party games to the Xbox platform, especially when you look over at Redfall and of course Starfield, some of the biggest games that will come out next year. I mean, they're bringing out two massive open world games that we're all looking forward to. We have to remember, Redfall isn't just a Back 4 Blood clone. No, it involves a massive open world, 4-player co-op, and a lot of cool mechanics and abilities that we haven't seen in other games. But the one thing I do want to go into is what Todd Howard talked about, because he did go on stage, he did talk about Starfield, but after the event, he talked about some things that were even more important, at least to me. Here's what's said from IGN and what Todd Howard said during the interview. In a video interview with IGN, Bethesda's Todd Howard divulged additional details about Starfield. He also uttered the name Fallout 5 and gave an idea of when fans can expect to see it. Speaking to Ryan McCaffrey, Howard confirmed that Fallout 5 will be the next game after the Elder Scrolls 6, which itself has entered pre-production. Here's what Todd Howard had to say. Yes, Elder Scrolls 6 is in pre-production, and you know, we're going to be doing Fallout 5 after that. So our slate's pretty full going forward for a while. We have some other projects that we look at from time to time as well. Okay, so as somebody that is a massive, and I mean massive Elder Scrolls fan, I am extremely excited that he even talked about this. And to be honest, I'm excited that he talked about Fallout 5. And this isn't the first time Todd Howard spoke about these games. He talked about having a cadence with, funny enough, Ryan McCaffrey, about bringing out games in a much more respectable timeline. I mean, the last Elder Scrolls game we got was back in 2011. It has been over 12 years, guys. I mean, I don't know what else we have to say. This game is going to be a while, almost 15 years until we get the new one. And that is what Todd Howard is talking about, that waiting 15 years for the next Elder Scrolls isn't likely. It's not a good thing to do. And it's not a good thing to wait for the next 15 years for the next Fallout, which will be Fallout 5. So for him to be talking about these games, I think there's some things in the works at the back end of Bethesda. I think they're getting more people. I think they're getting other game directors to maybe lead some of these games. And I think Todd Howard might be overseeing all of them. I don't know. This is just my speculation. But overall, I can't wait to see what Elder Scrolls 6 is all about. I mean, I believe they announced this game like 3 years ago at E3 on that stage, gave a little cinematic, said that it's in development, and that's it. We haven't seen anything from it. But after Fallout 76, after a couple other things, I think they pulled back. I believe that Todd Howard really wants to take the next Elder Scrolls game and put it under his wing. Make it something that's epic, make it something that we're all looking forward to, and to be excited for. That's the whole point of this, because as we know, Fallout 5 and Elder Scrolls 6 are some of the biggest games we'll ever play. And you know what? We're talking about these games, but Starfield is still being made and hasn't even released. So Bethesda is already thinking about their future. They're already talking about games that they're going to make later, and they still haven't brought out one of the biggest games ever made in Starfield. And in fact, Todd Howard talks about Starfield when he goes into it when he says this. Following up on Starfield's big gameplay demonstration at the Xbox Bethesda Showcase, Howard revealed additional facts about the new IP. Starfield's main story is 30 to 40 hours long, or 20% larger than any Bethesda game to date. New Atlantis, one of Starfield's 4 main cities and capital of the United Colonies, is also the largest city Bethesda has ever made. For character creation, Howard states there are roughly 20 character backgrounds to choose from. The game's procedural galaxy features the most handmade content ever made by the studio, boasting over 1,000 planets that players can visit. Howard also clarified you cannot fly to each one seamlessly a la No Man's Sky, describing the on-the-ground action and space gameplay as two separate experiences. In terms of space combat, Howard discusses how dogfighting, which he describes as having a slower pace, takes cues from games like FTL and Mech Warrior and confirms that players can steal the ships they board. I know, that is a whole lot of information, but I'm going to go into all of this. The first thing I want to tackle is that yes, this game is going to be 30 to 40 hours long from just the main story standpoint. So if you take in all the side quests and all the other things you could do around the game, you're going to easily get 100 to 200 hours out of this game, which by my standards is what Bethesda Softworks always does. It's just what they do. They make these massive epic games and they put you in control. You do what you want, you make the character you want, and you create the stories you want. That's what I love about them. They give us all these free roaming and basically free decisions ad nauseum, to the point that it becomes almost overwhelming for some people. But you know what? You get to choose what you want to do. And it is a 20% bigger game than any game they made before, bigger than Elder Scrolls, bigger than Fallout, all those massive games that we have already gotten 100 to 200 hours out of, if not 1,000 hours out of. It's going to be even bigger than that. And this is why they showed New Atlantis and all the big cities, because they want to show you just how alive this world is, how big it is. And I have to say, I'm excited. But now, as the procedural galaxy features are in hand, I do have to say that I'm a little worried about that. But he did say that this is all handmade content. Sure, it's procedurally generated, but a lot of the handmade content is going to be put into that procedural generation and into those planets that we're going to visit. And I do have to say, 1,000 planets is a whole lot. For them to stick to that number is kind of insane. I'm sure we'll find some cool stuff, and I'm sure it's going to be massive. But overall, I'm a little worried that some of it might be barren or not that many secrets in it. That's one thing I have to say about Elder Scrolls that I love. I could go somewhere, I could go east, west, it doesn't matter, and I'd find something. I'd find a cool cave. I'd find a cave system with all these different enemies, or I'd find a side quest. It felt condensed, it felt epic, and it felt massive because of how deep that game was. That's what I want from this game. I understand that there's 1,000 planets, but I hope some of those planets, if not most, have these deep lores to them that I could explore and experience and enjoy. That is the biggest thing and biggest takeaway I want to take from this game, is that I could go somewhere, fly to a planet I wouldn't have flown to before, and find a story there that I would have never experienced unless I decided to go there. That's what I'm hoping these procedural generations are. Not just content, but also content for quests, content for something that I could do, or even become a pirate and steal people's ships and take it to other planets. Starfield's going to be big. We all know that. It's going to be the biggest game released next year, and it might be the biggest game we've seen this entire generation. But overall, I want depth to it. Something like Elden Ring. To me, Elden Ring is one of the greatest games ever made because of how deep that game is. You can go somewhere, find a castle, and stay there for 2 to 3 hours exploring it and have a blast. You can run into a tree or run into something that opens up an entire underground tunnel, and then you think it's just an underground cave, and it turns into an underground city. That is why Elden Ring propelled everybody to think, wow, this ruined gaming for me because no other game is going to have this much depth. That's what I want from Starfield, and that's exactly what I want from the next Elder Scrolls and Fallout 5. I know Todd Howard is trying to hype everything up, and I know they don't want to talk about release dates. That's something that Pete Hines mentioned at the extended date, that they maybe need to talk about release dates a little better. They maybe have to put those things on the side until the game is ready, and I'm all for that. I don't want another Cyberpunk. I don't want any games coming out broken. I want complete games coming out, and I want them coming from the best developers, which is Xbox and Bethesda right now. And Bethesda makes some of the best RPGs in the world. There's no denying that. And that's what we're going to get. And I love the details we got from Redfall, and I love the details we got from everybody around, because all of these shocking updates just shows that Xbox is ready to move forward. They're ready to get some of the biggest things on stage. They're ready to get Bethesda to start being a part of Xbox Game Studios, and that's what they needed to do. And we all have to admit, Bethesda hasn't released anything for Xbox when it comes to first party or exclusives yet, and they've been a part of Xbox for the last year and a half. So I think next year is going to start that trend. I think we're going to start seeing Starfield, we're going to see Redfall drop, and then we're going to see other studios around Bethesda talking about other games, while Activision and Blizzard start becoming part of the first party also if that deal goes through. There's a lot in the works, and I do have to say that I think they kept a lot of things close to the vest this E3, which disappointed me, but overall, we are still getting 50 games dropped on Xbox in the next year, and a lot of those are coming to Game Pass day and date, and a lot of those are coming this year, but most of them, and the most interesting ones, are coming next year. And I do have to admit that that's the big thing, is that next year is going to be the year that Xbox really starts dropping these games in the cadence that they were thinking of. Big AAA games, there's 4 of them dropping next year alone, and I gotta say, I don't know where I'm gonna find the time to play all of these, especially when Starfield drops, but I'm excited that Todd Howard, Pete Hines, and Xbox are finally dropping some of these updates and talking about these games that we're all looking forward to. But enough of what I think about all this. Tell me what you think. Are you excited that Todd Howard mentioned Fallout 5? Are you excited that he mentioned Elder Scrolls 6 like I am? When do you think we'll get these games? Are they a few years away? Or can you see them building another team to get these games out in a much faster pace instead of waiting 15 years? Are you excited about Redfall and what Pete Hines had to say about the big open world and all of the mechanics behind it and the decisions you make are actually going to progress the story? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button to support us out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there, so get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamertag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. So right now, I've been playing a bunch of games. I've been jumping into Chorus, I've been jumping into Apex Legends, and I do have to say that I'm having a lot of fun with what Game Pass is providing me. I know, that sounds a little weird, but I've been just jumping into a bunch of games. I've been playing Doom Eternal's DLC, The Ancient Gods Part 1, and I do have to say that game is extremely difficult, and I'm loving every minute of it. I feel like after every 2 or 3 encounters, I need to take a break from the game. It's so stressful and demanding because everything in there is so intense. They throw enemy after enemy after enemy after you, and you have to adjust. You have to use every single gun, every single ability you have, and you need to be prepared for the war that is Doom Eternal. And I'm loving every minute of it. I'm going to probably beat the DLC and Part 2 and move on from there and maybe jump into Ninja Turtles, which is dropping into Game Pass this week. But overall, I'm waiting for a lot of these games that were at the showcase, like the Forza Horizon DLC with the Hot Wheels. I can't wait to jump into that. The DLC for that was one of the best that Forza ever brought out, so I can't wait to jump into that game. And of course, there's a bunch of other ones dropping, like A Plague's Tale, and of course High on Life, that game that's made by the people that made Rick and Morty. There's so much coming, and I'm excited for all of it. But let me know what you're playing. Are you playing something on your Xbox Series X, your PS5, or are you on your PC playing something? Let me know down below, because that's what we're here for, is to talk games. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.